Today, our guest is a very special one. She has an impressive career, I would say, in the pharmaceutical industry. Several years' experience as a laboratory analyst in a food and drug administration, along with years of retail experience on a food supplement in a community setting, and a production supervisor in a food supplement manufacturing firm, and years of excellent experience in a pharmacy hospital. Please help me welcome Marisol Capul. Hi, Ate Sol. How are you?
Hi, Earl. I'm so excited at the same time nervous. Thank you for taking time to invite me. And I believe this is a 1 year in the making. It's just that our time doesn't meet. So I always believe that if it's the right time, it would happen. Thank you, Earl. Thank you.
Thank you for saying yes for being in the show. So, first things first, you have an established career as a pharmacist. Did you ever dream of this in your entire life?
If we're going to a little background, my mama wanted me to become a pharmacist, but when I was young, I wanted to become a dentist. But
Oh.
she often told me that, what would you do? And during that time, when you say dentist, not everyone and not every day, a client would go to your clinic, get a tooth extracted, unless she said that if you are a pharmacist, when you retire, you still have your license to be rent out. And
Mm.
there are different fields of your profession you can explore. So that's why I didn't think much of a pharmacist, because when you think of a pharmacist, a lot of misconception would that it's only a tindera, but little they know that there are a lot of fields that you can explore. Like, for example, in hospital pharmacy, we are now into a special service like clinical pharmacy. We have a oncology pharmacy, and
Mm.
we also have a heart failure pharmacy wherein you can do a patient counseling, and we also have nutritional pharmacy. In other field, like in the academe, it's also another field of our profession wherein you can actually mold students. And in manufacturing and even in regulatory, you can also be an effective pharmacist, and much more in a community wherein a lot of pharmacy are into it. But sad to say, the compensation in the community pharmacy is not that big compared to, I would say, in a government setup. But
Mhm.
it's kind of rewarding if you are a pharmacist, because it's a continuing exploration of your knowledge. And at the same time, you are acknowledged as one of the frontliners when it comes to giving health services to the masses and to our people.
I loved how you debunked the notion. I have to admit, that was actually my first notion when it comes to
Sure.
pharmacist I see in the drugstore. So I'm like, okay, that seems to be very easy. So going back, you said you wanted to be a dentist. Do you really had that fun to extract people's teeth, like taking care of teeth and all that before you resorted to become a pharmacist?
During that time, when I was, I think, grade three, our teacher would often ask us, what would you like to become when you like be a professional someday? I love to be called like a doctor of teeth. And then I love the way the doctor would wear the coat. But I didn't think that there is a doctor of like operation and that, but I focus on sa teeth lang yun. I don't know. But I really wanted also to become a doctor. It's just that we don't have enough money. That's why my kuya successfully became a pediatrician. So, siya na lang.
You must have come from a family in the medical industry.
Yes. My kuya is a pediatrician and I am a pharmacist. So, inutunta siya, Earl, no, nga if you have a clinic and at the same time a pharmacy, they will say clandestine arrangement wherein like he can prescribe a medication and then you can buy this to that pharmacy. But sad to say, it's not happening because I am working also in a hospital and we are not allowed to have our own pharmacy. It's a
Mhm.
conflict of interest.
Okay.
Probably if you can resign and you have your own community pharmacy, then that's it.
Ah,
But
I
that's my
see.
plan. That's my future plan.
But then you wanted dentistry all along. You never had any interest in pharmacy.
You know what? My high school barkada, they end up enrolling in nursing and they took up the entrance exam. I was late and I think what probably could fit me. And I don't like nursing in the first place. I don't know, basta I just enrolled in pharmacy. At first, I didn't like it, but eventually I learned to love it with all the chemistry and the sciences and computation, which I hate, but I end up to be a pharmacist.
Let's go through there. What prompted you to love pharmacy?
I think it's more of the different fields that you can explore. But I really wanted to be in a regulatory, but I got burned out because I was assigned in a laboratory wherein every day you get to be exposed to the different chemicals, and I don't want that in the near future. I will not have a baby, or when you're exposed in a chemical that would have an effect eventually in your body. But I don't know, it's just siguro I want to explore. I don't want to be like stuck up in one field. So that's why with 32 or more years of my profession, I was able to explore to the different fields. Currently, I am also a part-time professor. So I try to manage everything, In the clinical field would be more on the decision making. And then in the academe, it's more on the lessons and the curriculum development and all.
You must have that kind of personality that you wanted to be adaptable, flexible, a risk taker. You are very open to any kind of learning.
Yes, I do. Because life is too short and you want to enjoy life. So, in enjoying life, you have to learn something as well. In a pharmacy profession, it's not enough that you are actually in a hospital. You need to explore by attending continuing education and learning the new processes or learning new drugs that are actually new in the field, no? At the same time, new diseases and how to counteract it with the discovery of mga medications. So you have to explore and at the same time be open to the new learnings because learning doesn't stop where you are until you grow and until probably you die. You still learn something.
I agree with that. Let's go behind the scenes. As a pharmacy student, how was learning as a pharmacy student like? What are some challenges and what are the interesting and best parts of being a pharmacy student?
It's kind of different compared to the current curriculum because during our time, we don't have the pleasure of using the computer. So we really have to go to the library and research and with one or two textbook, like you have to photocopy it and then do some research and do a lot of studying. Compared today that everything must be Googled and available in social media, no? The hurdle that I would say is learning how to cope up during that time. It's a struggle as a student that you have to make sure that you pass, make sure that even if you don't understand the teacher much because they cannot explain it well to you, you do an extra effort in researching and at the same time do your own study, especially in the computation. I hate computation, but I'm glad to say that I aced the exam. I graduated 1994 and took the board exam of the same year and passed it. Unfortunately, Earl, I was not able to get my license right there and then because I was only 18 years old and you have to be 21 for you to practice the profession. So,
Okay.
meaning to say, being with that batch, I'm only 18 and the rest of my classmates are 21. So, it must be something. I must be so proud of myself. Bright siguro ko.
You must be so exceptional, Tesola.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
bright siguro ko.
y-
No, because I aced that one take of the board exam at the same time. I did not fail any subjects, but an average student, I would say.
you must be so exceptionally gifted in a unique way, I would say.
In a unique way, probably. It's more of like being street smart. I don't know.
And that helps, actually.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to computations, I'm sure it's getting the right mix. Let's say a specific medication for a patient is prescribed, it has enough mix just for a patient to be remedied in that
Mm,
sense. And that actually
mm-mm.
takes a lot. So, what we're delving here, a pharmacist doesn't only stick to a store. So, you better thank these pharmacists like Atisol right here.
Yeah. I would always say to my students, Earl, in a hospital setting, doctor must be considered as the brain of the hospital, right? And then the
Mm,
nurses are the heart of the hospital.
mm,
But the pharmacists are the blood that circulates the hospital. Because without us, being a doctor and being a nurse is useless if there are no medications to be given by the pharmacist, correct? Whether they like it or not, they would always ask us the correct dosage, the correct strength for a certain medication to be given or to be administered to the certain patient. So I am very proud of my profession and I'm very proud of my colleagues who are working tirelessly 24/7 in a hospital setting and continue improving our craft. Like currently, I mentioned a while ago about clinical pharmacies, wherein we have to work hand in hand with the doctors and the nurses, and even we can correct them the correct dosage and alternative if the medication is not available in the hospital. But we can do some alternative. So I think it's more of like collaboration of the multidisciplinary healthcare workers. And I would say during the pandemic, I feel like I'm really a hero. It was the first time, Earl, I will share it to you that when we passed by a certain road, then these policemen were having their
Saluting.
salute or they salute us. My, I feel like someone special, no? Because, di ba, during that time, only the frontliners are allowed to go out, are allowed to pass by. So they actually give us acknowledgement that we really are something in the field of medicine, that we are actually special, that we can be working with the doctors, the nurses, and other healthcare workers.
You had your analogy, the doctor being the brain, the nurse being the heart, and the pharmacist being the blood. It's very critical because you give life in a sense. And then I could imagine that in the
Yes.
pandemic, it's even tougher because even the quote unquote blood people, I would call, they even have to risk themselves facing COVID. Even though if you had
Mhm.
your safety precautions yourself, it's a crazy thing that if we really look back at it. And exactly, it's been 5 years since the
Mm.
outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Again, salute to all the medical people who have showed their bravery, resilience, and strength amidst it. And you're one of those. Again, had this all for that one.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that, Earl, because I vividly recall that I was also a victim of COVID. I was hospitalized. Supposed to be we're giving vaccines, first batch of vaccines, and suddenly the result of my swab came out as positive. So during that time, you have to be isolated for 7 days and you have to be separated from your family. So I was having the thought that what if I will die? I cannot see them, and so on and so forth. That was really a difficult part of our history that no one was spared. Everybody can be hit with that virus, and even the doctors and the nurses and all the hospital workers are not spared. Good thing God gave us the intervention, and we're glad that we survived it. We came up resilient. I hope we learned something from that, and I hope that we will be cautious enough to do some healthcare precautions, especially our elderly.
We will see how pandemic viruses like this would help us foresee of how we walk on towards the future. So let's go back a bit. Upon those 3 years, how did you make yourself productive before you were able to receive your pharmacist license?
Good thing that I was able to work in a Robinson's pharmacy at the time. So the Robinson's Fuente right now, it's kind of different way back in 1990s, no? There, I was able to explore also a community set up pharmacy while waiting for my license. And at the same time, after 3 months of that contract, because during that time, di ba, you have like 3 or 6 months
Mm-hmm.
contract, and then you will be renewed. So that 3 months, I was not able to renew because I was hired with that food supplement store. It's a
Mm.
general nutrition center. If you are familiar with that, I think it's no
Right.
longer available in here. During that time, it has one branch in SM City. They are actually selling food supplements and mga natural herbs. So there I was also able to explore myself and hone my customer service skills where I'm able to ask the customer what problem they have with their health and establish a rapport with them. So I was able to develop myself as well.
Just one question. When you worked in at GNC, are the food supplements given to you for free since you're employed there?
No, we were given a certain discount if you're going to buy. You know what, Earl? I just share something to you know. When I was working at GNC, I was kind of fat, as in chubby.
Really?
You know?
Really?
Yeah, it would be kind of ironic for us to like sell something that, it makes you slim, and then the one who's selling is the chubby.
Correct.
So I took the chance of taking one. I cannot forget that Senadrin. The one ingredient of that is mawang and guarana. And it's a
Okay.
very powerful stimulant at the same time for slimming. And then I took that. I bought that for like one bottle, 90 capsules. And based on the instruction or the dosage, you have to like take 2 capsules 3 times a day. But I did not follow that. I only took one capsule once a day. And true enough, there would be like suppression of your appetite. A little of your exercise would make you sweat. And that makes me slim. Nigamay jud ko. But however, it was reformulated in the US because a lot of clients were actually nangamatay because of
Oh.
overdosage and too much strength lang yun siya.
Ah.
So I think it's a nice thing when you feel good, diba? It radiates. So the more you can convince your clients to buy this supplement because it shows it works on you. Mao na siya ang pinaka the best na ako nga mag-experience. That's what you call walk the talk.
Have you been an ambassador to them, like a model or endorser?
No, no. I am
Ah,
just a humble health representative or a sales lady for that matter.
oh, at least that's good sales, huh? I'm glad you were able
Mm-mm.
to embody that.
Then, because during that time you are so eager and you were so young and you want to explore and idealistic that you want to have your energy consumed. That time as well, I was able to apply for another job. And a good thing, I was also hired as a food and drug analyst in former Bureau of Food and Drugs. And now it's Food and Drug Administration. So it's
Mm-mm.
a government agency. And again, I was able to meet different kinds of clients, different kinds of connections. And another field of that profession still that I was able to explore and hone my talent or my skills in the laboratory setup as well. And after that, in the field of manufacturing, I really enjoyed the pharmacy profession because you were not actually enclosed in one setting. You were actually given the chance to be with the different fields of that profession. That's why if there's a chance, we will do some exploration. And at the same time, enjoy yourself because as I have said, life is too short. Everything should be balanced. You also have to have a time for your family, for your friends, and at the same time, your church mates and your village, your community.
Wow. You develop a lot of skills. So first is your relational skills. Are you the kind of person who loves socializing with people?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think you would notice me, especially in our church, that I'd be in front as an usher, that I really love to welcome people and at the same time start conversation, start getting something from that person. I don't know, that's siguro my skills. And at the same time, I would say I inherit that from my mom. My mom is what do you call a
People
people
person.
person? Yeah, people
Mm.
person. She has a lot of friends and she has a lot of connections from different fields, from all aspects.
So you must be a very talkative person when you were still young, when you were still in school.
I don't know, Earl, during elementary, I am a representative of declamation. I love to be in stage. Nag-theater na lang unta ako, no? But as you mature and as you grow, mo change man gina siya. Be with people, making them in good company, making them not bored when you are with them. So I think that's me. Not to the point that I'm being kinkoy, but I really love making the surrounding alive. I remember it just popped up in my mind that some of my friends, and I think one of our colleagues said, Mom, I think if you're going to run for mayor or for councilor in our hospital, you would win. Why? Because I mean, every time I pass by with my friend, oh hi, hello. I don't know. It's just natural for me. If I see somebody smiling at me, automatically I'll smile back and at the same time say hello. You don't know what they're going through. I always believe that giving a smile or giving a hi or hello would make a difference. So always do that.
I think that's also core. And I think that's one important trait that the people in the medical industry should embody. And every one of us, it's an obligation as humans to feel the people around us because we are all human to really do our best to restore the humanity in each person given
Yeah,
the
exactly, Earl. Especially the generation of today, they have a difficulty in relating and socializing because they're too much exposed to the virtual. Unlike us before, that we often go out of the street, go out of our house, and socialize with our friends. The real socialization happens there. Makes you resilient. It's true, during that time when you ride a bicycle and then you fall, automatically you get up and then go on, continue. That's life. And nowadays, automatically the generation of today, a little hurt, a little disappointment, they would resort to like mental health, no? I don't know. I think it's the technology and at the same time, the way the generation today is being brought up. No matter good, dealing with people and being good to one another because I don't believe, Earl, that there are hard persons. If you're going to know that person very well and you got to know their background, probably because of trauma, probably because of the experience, and probably because of the surroundings where they live, they make that person supposed to be not. to be that person. And ma-change pa man na siya. They said, Gani, if you go with a person with a positive thinking, automatically you get influence. But if you go to a person with negative thinking, you get influence as well. So what can we do? Giving a smile is free, opening a conversation is free. So might as well influence them and save them from something negative for that matter.
And it takes a lot of intention to see the human really in everyone. And it seems like no matter how difficult it was for you, you were able to be optimistic in learning it no matter how hard it is. Life is difficult and it's difficult to do good, but it's the right thing to do. It's
Yes.
the reality that we all have to accept. But regardless, doing good has its benefits. If you believe in the principle of sowing and reaping, if you do good about it, you will reap it no matter how long it may take. It will sure return to you.
You know, Earl, if you like understand the real meaning of life, everything is temporary.
Yes.
Your hurt, your happiness, they're all temporary. So why not enjoy and why not do the best of both things? I mean to say, at the end of the day, if you're going to like analyze and think it over, what have you done? What if God will take you now? Did you do something good? Something will make you realize, bitaw nga, life is supposed to be lived in accordance to what God wants us to be, like doing good and forgive. So, what you sow, what you reap. Why not make it good all the time? Good na lang, Jud. To make this world a better place to live. There are too much negativity. There are too much bad things that are happening right now. So, a single step coming from us, if it can influence that, a good influence will make a better thing for this world. It sounds like suntok sa buwan, but that's supposed to be in reality of life.
You always have to do good no matter how hard it is. And even though you are maybe used to it, you still be prone to it. So you still have to do good. You know, it's really hard. And
Yeah.
then like I think it's better to be able to experience pain that way, knowing that in the end it will be all worth it without any regrets, than to take the easy path and then just feel the pain at the end of it at all and feeling that remorse of why you have done that. So just choose whatever pain you have there.
Yeah.
You've also developed analytical skills. Are you the type of person who'd rather think analytically in contrast to memorization for the sake of, let's say in the class context, getting points in a test item?
You know what? When you impart your knowledge to your students, you have to show them that you really like what you're doing. And I will make sure that every time that I give problems and the solution and the computation, and make sure that everyone understands because there's an application, magod, in the real world. It's not like example, but in our field of profession, you have computation in the dosage. So you really need to give them more examples and an application and so on and so forth. I always make sure that my lessons would be associated in the real life scenario. And at the same time, I would quote mga personal experience so that they would feel that I'm not bluffing, I'm not joking.
They seem to love to develop that mathematical skill in a way.
Not so still, but simple things lang yun, Earl. Although with the computation, you already have mga formula nga to be follow. So
Yes, yeah.
it would be easy for you compared to the trigonometric. And then you have a good pharmacy calculus. So I hate that. But I don't know. Wow, I was able to pass the subject. But now that once you become mature, you learn to expound and understand things na. So mura siya og uy, inanalay ka sa'yo on how to compute and all that stuff. And with the help of technology right now, you can actually Google what's the correct formula, what's the correct solution to this problem. So it's not really hard for you to share that. And at the same time, in the hospital setting, you have to experience good. And of course, you have to ask your staff or your colleagues or your coworkers, double check if the computation that you have is correct. And that's supposed to be the correct way of checking or doing the right thing, computation of medication at the same time dispensing. Because once you dispense that, if it's not properly checked, that would means a medication error.
It's
So
against
I
you,
can,
actually.
yeah, you could just imagine if the patient would take that and it's a wrong dosage, it's a wrong medication. So that would make a really big problem. So
It's a
you really
domino
have to
effect,
double check.
kumbaga.
Yeah. So you really have to double check everything.
I think this is the mindset that you may not like it, but it's done out of necessity because it's part of the job. But then you eventually get to see the positive side of it.
You always have to see the positive side in all aspects, or because whether you like it or not, you will experience that and you will get to be exposed to that thing. Even how much you try to evade that, eventually, it will actually be in your front and do it face to face. Murag inana gyud na siya.
That's really how it is. So there's no
Mm.
question about that. But you also learn management skills, most especially that at one point you were a production supervisor for a food supplement manufacturing firm. That's a big responsibility. You have to oversee not just the materials and everything that comes up with the medication, but also with the resources. How was that for you at the time?
Yeah, it's kind of hard at first because you have to check all the aspects. As you mentioned, the raw materials, the people, the equipment, and all. Although it's a small scale manufacturing firm, but it taught me a lot in the sense that it expanded my patience. It expanded on how to deal with the stuff, the rack and file, and the material things that you need, the raw materials that you need to be prepared for that production setting. It's more of you have to grasp everything, learn everything from the day-to-day activity of what's going on. And I'm glad that I was able to survive that as well. Although my stint there is only 1 year, but I learned a lot, especially in dealing with the regulatory agency, although it's kind of easy for me because I already have a connection, I already have friends from FDA. So when we applied for the license to operate, it's not that hard anymore because somehow I learned. But the setting up of the production area is very challenging because you really started from scratch. Although there's help coming from the consultants, but it's a learning experience. It's another thing that I cherish because being a production manager learned me a lot in pursuing another field of that profession wherein I can apply those positive side of that experience in managing the people right now, wherein I was into like in the hospital setting, especially in the ER pharmacy. I manage people as well. So although it's a different setting, I mean production, and this time
Yes.
it's a pharmacy setting, but somehow in dealing with people, it's kind of easy for me now.
And the most important thing is you actually developed a leadership skill. A leader is actually made in you. And that's actually a very useful one as you were able to navigate in life where your leadership is needed, most especially in the areas outside your work.
You know what? People come from different background, and you cannot expect that when you lead, everything should be followed. And one thing that you have to impose is the system must be clearly defined. At the same time, you lead as a sample. So I think very important thing is you lead by example. Practice what you preach, and at the same time, walk the talk. And if ever human as we are, we commit mistakes, you have to remind them that you're given the chance to rectify and improve your skills, improve your craft. Every day is a learning experience, and people are actually good. And at the same time, they are actually professional. So it's not hard because you deal them professionally and at the same time with a good heart. And just like me, I'm a mom, so I also deal them like my kids. If I'm going to like reprimand them in such a way that they will not be embarrassed in front of the other staff. So I call them one by one and talk to them.
That's actually how a good leader is. And also part of that layer when it comes to leading is also teaching. And you mentioned earlier that you became an academic instructor on one of the best medical schools here in Cebu, particularly in Cebu Doctors University. So you are a woman on the go. Why did you accept the role to teach?
You know what, Earl, as I have keep on mentioning that I don't want to waste time. At the same time, I easily get bored. So I want to make my time so productive. Mondays to Fridays, I work at the hospital pharmacy in Vicente Soto. And during Saturdays, from 7:30 to 6, I had my class at Cebu Doctors. It's kind of refreshing that you are exposed to another field because in a hospital setting, patients, the doctors, the nurses, and your colleague on another day, students. So their mindset is different and their way of acting to the environment is different and way of thinking is different. You somehow like shift your aura from the decision making to the development of lessons or learning. So For me, it's a challenging role because learning is actually part of life. There would be a different feeling in me when I impart because they said teaching is a passion. There's a different feeling in me when I teach and when I was able to impart the knowledge that I learned and be able to communicate, counteract, and to interact with the students, especially with the generation gap. I'm 50 years
Yes.
old and my students right now are 18, 19, 20. So can you see the difference? So their point of view is kind of different from my point of view. And we will try to meet halfway and at the same time their ideas when you ask them about their concerns, their reaction in the learning. So it's more of I learn from them, they learn from me. It's a two-way thing. Basta mura siya og another dimension that I want to be proud and at the same time be in close with. Given a chance, I really want to be a professor good and a teacher for that matter.
And it's helpful for you because it's also an avenue for you to be very relevant. I would say it's like a bridge between those who are about to enter the industry and with you having experience in the industry in order to meet the evolving needs. How do you educate as an academic instructor to ensure that your students prepare themselves for whatever things the pharmaceutical industry will throw at them?
You know what, Earl? I'm handling quality control, wherein it is actually applicable in all aspects. You may be in a
Right.
hospital, you may be in a manufacturing community, you need to apply quality control. So I always tell them that it's not only learning by hear, but you need to apply it by heart. Every day is a chance for you to apply the quality control that you have learned from the four corners of this room, even in your house or even in your dorm or wherever you are. You actually apply that. And at the same time, learn that you become a professional someday. We, as your teacher, become your colleagues. So you need to actually be ready in the real world scenario of the things that you need to know. So might as well learn it now, especially in this evolving world we were in. Fast-paced kaayo siya. So we as well as a teacher, we need to adapt on the current trend of learning and giving lessons to them. So real world scenario giving application.
And you not only exposed yourself to students, you also expose yourself in graduate school. What differences do you see in these two areas?
In the undergrad magod, you give them everything. It's a more on assessment, giving the lessons, assessment, so on and so forth. While in graduate school, it's more of research, it's more of output. You are dealing with professional na magod in the graduate school. You deal with them in such a way that ka-level lang nimo sila, but at the same time with authority that you are a professor. It's more of like advanced learning lang and at the same time, more on output lang siya, like research and all.
You have really made sure that you immerse yourself in all areas possible. That's one admirable thing I found in you. As of current, you have been a pharmacist in Vicente Soto. So now that you are in the pharmacy hospital, it's like everything has been repeated. So you are a hospital dispensing pharmacist, pharmacist stockroom in charge, pharmacy in charge, chief pharmacist, until such time that you have become an ER pharmacy supervisor. So if you look back at that, it's more like a repeat of what you have done back then. How was that feeling like?
You know what, Earl? I always believe that everything happens for a reason. I always believe that when God works without lifting a finger, it will be given to you. I did not ask for being a stockroom in charge, main pharmacy in charge, an OIC for a chief pharmacist, and now an ER pharmacy. It will just flow. Maybe because the management saw something in me. I'll make it as a humbling experience and embrace the system that I am into and at the same time learn from it. It's not hard for me because as you mentioned, I already experienced that outside. It's just that the repeat, no, more about roll into one na ana siya din ha. I am very grateful for that opportunity and I believe God has put me in that place to have an impact with my colleagues, to have an impact to the patients, to the doctors, the nurses, and to all workers in the hospital setting. Because you know what? It's not easy to apply in a government hospital. Before, they said it's more on, you know something, it's you know someone. Good thing God has given me the opportunity to work in a hospital wherein I was able also to impart those who are in need, even I do not know them, they ask help. it would be like easy for me to help them in my own capacity, in my own ability. It's something that I can be grateful nga, oh, this opportunity would not be given to me if wala ako di give back sa people, sa community, those individual that I do not know. It's more of like give and take. At the same time, you have to embrace and learn from it. I would always say learn from every minute, learn every step of the way ang unsay dapat nimo i-learn. At the same time, embrace it because you will never pass that way again. With the lessons learned from that experience, you will actually apply that in the future.
It was
Right.
actually preparatory for you. So even though there's a
Preparatory.
repeat, it made you develop the person you are now, that probably at this moment, this is you at your best, but you can still be the best from your best today.
That's why you don't have to be proud of yourself, but you keep on learning, be humble, and at the same time, be friends with everyone because that person that you actually friends now, maybe in the future, will help you. The world is so around. What comes around and goes around. I would always believe in that. So you better do your best na lang good in all aspects, in all things, on all the tasks that you are given to you. You have to do your 100% best.
It really matters when you give your 100%. You can even go 150%. There's really no room for you to be mediocre or being really
Mm.
lazy about it, because being mediocre has its price, but also being excellent has its price.
Be surprised.
Yeah, name your price. Make sure the price you're taking is worth it, and I hope you don't put it to waste. Since you're working as part of the pharmacy, are the medications still given you for free or is there discount?
Okay, that's a good question because under malasakit, actually the medications are free as long as you go to the OPD and have the consultation there, and then there's a prescription coming from the Vicente Soto doctors, and then you go to the pharmacy, there's a social worker there to assist and assess you on how much medication that we're going to give for free. Usually it's a 1 month medication. In fact, I just want to share this for all those who are not aware that the medication for chemotherapy in Vicente Soto is actually free.
Really?
No, you just have to enroll in the BC map. Then after that, your session for chemotherapy is actually free. The medications are actually coming from the DOH. It's an allocation. It's for free. Knowing that the chemotherapy drugs are very much expensive, especially the breast cancer chemotherapy, we are proud that we are giving it for free as long as they are enrolled in a BC map.
All right, please take note of that.
And additionally, when you are admitted in Vicente Soto under charity program, you have nothing to pay.
Wow.
So it's part of the Universal Health Bill, the previous administration, and we are hoping that it will continue forever so that our kababayans or our Cebuano citizens are actually enjoying and will avail of that privilege.
We'll really hope for that. All right. And speaking of expanding yourself, you really chose to obtain a master's degree, which is so impressive. And you're still not contented. You chose to take a doctorate degree. So you're ongoing taking a doctor of philosophy in organizational development. Just to clarify with this, is this something related to pharmacy or is this more on the general side of things in the pharmacy context?
No, it's not only in the pharmacy, but more on the organizational development. So in the near future, if God permits, I'll be able to finish that doctorate. I would be able to be a consultant in any firm that needs a fix on the organization or something. But that's still too far. I'm still hoping that I could make it 2 years from now. I hope God permits. And it's more of time management than good earl because even me myself, I am so amazed where can I put everything into place. I think I owe it everything to God. And at the same time, as I keep on mentioning, I enjoy every moment, enjoy every minute of it because that's what I want to become. I'll make life easier by enjoying those things that I am having right now.
You know, Ate Sol, if you finish this doctorate degree of yours, it's gonna be a big opportunity for you. You are contributing something on how the pharmaceutical industry can be interconnected with different industries. Let's face that. You have been given so much to seize all you can of what the pharmaceutical industry can bring you. Now, originally, you wanted to be a dentist. When you look back at that start, all the way up until now, How was the journey so far?
You know what, Earl? Every man's decision is different from God's decision and plan. I always believe that God's plan always prevails. We have our choice, but I think God is leading me to where I am right now. And I am so grateful because I did not regret any decision that I made. And I am actually slowly reaping the hardships, the challenges that I encountered during school days. And I'm giving it back to the students right now na I'm making their life meaningful with all the lessons that I learned. So I'm imparting it to them. I guess it's kind of fulfilling it. All those dreams, all those aspirations my mom had for me, now I am actually enjoying. Not only me, but my family is enjoying as well. And I am actually proud having these achievements. I owe it to God and at the same time I owe it to my family because without them, of course, I can't do it. And at the same time, thanking every person that I met all along the way because they are part of my journey and they're part of my success. They're part of what I am having right now.
You had that extra strength with you, and I think that
Yeah,
makes life easier. Well, life is hard, but in a way it makes life easier to bear, easier to take any
yeah.
challenge with. I can actually see your humility in that, no doubt about that.
You know what, Earl? I would always say that God loves me tremendously and favorably because all the things that I need and I wanted, He has given me without any hardships and without any hesitation. And with all the problems, with all the challenges that I experienced, especially when I lost my husband, yet I was not able to feel emptiness, to feel abandoned, to feel neglected by God. I feel like I am embraced by Him and being surrounded with His blessings with all the time. So that's what I always think, bitaw nga. That's why I think life mura bang easy to bear. So excited every time that when I go to sleep and when I wake up, Lord, this is it, another day to enjoy your goodness, to embrace your blessings. And I could not have asked for more because you have brought me here and you're the only one who can get me out from here as well. So I am so grateful or grateful for God gift and all glory to Him with all the things that I experienced, all the things that I encounter. Still glory to Him.
Yeah,
And I can't
wow.
thank Him enough with all the things that I have.
Wow, that's so intense as I'm hearing about it. So, as far as your life journey is concerned, what are the most important life lessons you learned so far?
Important life lesson that life is so short that you have to embrace everything that would come to you, whether it's hurting you, whether it's making you happy, everything as in everything, because God allows it to happen to you. Because in the first place, why God created you to be here on earth to just experience those things. It's more of like embracing the things and at the same time, Earl, you have to learn how to love yourself more than anything else because you cannot actually give love to everyone if you yourself don't give much time and love for yourself. And
Right.
at the same time, you have to include first and foremost God in all your decision because He can make you great. He can make you the amazing person that no one can actually dream of. For people like us, we can imagine it can't be. That's our perception. But with God, nothing is impossible. Day by day, there are different lessons that you have to embrace, to learn, but take it one step at a time. But most of all, learn how to humble yourself.
Really important. So thank you very much for bringing that one at the all. So let's tackle a bit as a mom to Eon and Sky. Have you seen either one of your kids taking interest in your path of profession?
You know what? They said we are one of the greatest influence to them. I always encourage Ian to take up nursing because aside from its trend, no, it can make his life a better one in the future. Sad to say, he doesn't like nursing. He even give me three reasons, Earl, why he doesn't like nursing. Yeah, and I listened carefully. Number one, he doesn't like that during holidays he's not around in the home. Secondly, he doesn't want a patient who die in his hands. I think during resuscitation or CPR. And third, he hates body fluids. So my kuya and me, and by the way, my mom is a nurse. We tried to convince him to take nursing. However, he actually enrolled na rad tech. And still, I am actually happy because related gapon siya sa medicine. It's his stepping stone because in his mind, he wanted to have a business someday. That's always in his mind. So probably that's just accomplishing for a 4-year course for that matter. But I am preparing myself just in case he changed his mind, probably proceed to taking up medicine. It's a one-man show. Ako na lang isa. With God's blessing, I know I can carry him through and I can sustain him. So I'm preparing for that. And Sky is actually contemplating taking up nursing. Siguro siya ang mag-take up of nursing. And I am
Wow.
actually happy for that because now that she has this mindset to take up nursing, and actually she's matured enough to take up nursing, she's planning to apply for a scholarship. Any school that offers a scholarship, she would do her best now.
Wow.
I hope she doesn't change her mind. That's my
Wow.
prayer.
In a way, it's like your family's legacy is being in the medical field. I think one day Eon and Sky will pass on who knows when, who knows what in terms of that. That's amazing for me of sorts. So with your wide experience, what is your advice for those who are seeking to be part of the pharmaceutical industry?
Recently, there's a post in social media and coming from the association that there is actually a lack of pharmacists with over 27,000. And it also shows in the number of the current enrollees depleting a number of enrollees not for the College of Pharmacy. Now, we are afraid actually that the profession will be eradicated with the number of enrollees. And for those individual or students who will be taking our profession, being in a pharmacy is actually rewarding because it's not only one field that you're going to be exposed. There are actually different fields, and you are actually given the chance to explore, to widen your horizon. I think you have to be competitive enough because we want our profession to be regarded as a noble one and something that to look forward by other healthcare professionals. Because I mentioned about the notion of most of the people that pharmacists are just tindera. But to tell you honestly, and for those who are following this show ni Earth, pharmacy actually is kind of fulfilling because we are on the front line. We are the one who actually acknowledge the new discovery of medications. We're actually into stopping the adverse drug reaction. You don't know what the doctors or the other medical profession are giving you. I am referring to the medication when you are admitted in hospital. But we as pharmacists will do the counseling, will do the education, and giving you an idea what the medications can do into your body. So, Mananako, we are actually important because without us, there would be no circulation of blood in the system. Diba? As I mentioned. So, we take pharmacy because we need you. There's a lot of the field that you need to explore.
And if you wouldn't mind, Ate Sol, what are the causes that pharmacy enrollment is in the decline?
Probably because they see after they pass the board exam and look for a job, the compensation is not that big.
Right.
No? When you pass the board exam, most of the students will actually proceed to medicine or they have their own business or they would go abroad. So the number of practicing Philippine pharmacists are actually declining because of that. So I think the government would make an action, especially on the compensation. In order for us to be patronizing our own, they need to increase the salary. Just like nurses, no, they go abroad because of the offer of the life and the benefits, diba? So I think if this will not be addressed, we will end up no organic pharmacists coming from our own will practice here in the Philippines. They would go abroad and they would practice there.
And in the Philippine context, it's sad to say that the pressuring problems then are still unresolved until now. And I feel like there is this big elephant in the room where I honestly am not sure why they are so, I feel hesitant or uncertain on why they couldn't resolve the root cause of it, because we have so much potential, talent, skill, and I would say it's a big disservice if we cannot benefit the health and wellness we get from our own people. I feel like at this point there needs to be really concrete solutions not just
Mm.
make solutions while the problem is on the surface. It's just really getting into the bottom of why our problems happen to be the problems they are.
I would not tackle on that matter because I think from the ground, no, we keep on complaining, but then we have a voice, but I don't know if the government will not act on it. It's useless, all these things that we're complaining. But supposed to be, that's the ideal of a government is to listen to us, especially government workers, that we are doing our best to make the life of every Filipino better, especially in the health sector. With this universal health, all of us Filipino can avail of the free medication, free hospital services, but it's kind of disappointing when you see the government is not actually supporting us. Instead, they're actually getting the funds that is intended for the people. You know what I mean? Will not
Yeah.
tackle this anymore, but yeah, the power of the people should be on top of it all. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening with the government. We could only pray that the leaders right now and the one who's managing our government would be enlightened that there are a lot of people who needs something that their lives should be elevated from the current sakit and sad paminahon with Earl that we are slowly going down 2 or 3 years from now. If it's not addressed, where are we going? And the first to be affected are actually the health sector.
Right.
You see, during pandemic, the health sector are actually number one. We are the frontliners, and if it's not for us, I don't know. Part of the government will collapse.
We're going in circles actually with this kind of problem. But let's just stay until there because we don't claim ourselves to be experts of this, but we can only speak out of a citizen's point of view in
Yeah.
terms.
The best thing we can do is do our thing and at the same time pray. Pray lang yun. And I know God will intervene and He will listen to us.
Yeah, so it's also our prayer as well. So let's talk about Atasol's life outside work. And I find this to be the very notable one. She is known to be a dancing influencer in social media as the dancing pharmacist, at least to us, her close friends, via TikTok. So I've seen your entries and wow, I would say to myself that you are a graceful dancer. When did you discover that you were fun for dancing?
When I was young, my kuya is my partner. My auntie used to guest us in province na mga fiesta and all that one. So young as
Oh.
we are, we do the partner and then we dance. And eventually, in the elementary days, teachers would often pick both of us as partners in dance as well. And during high school days, a dance group member. That's one way of coping up when I am so stressed and when I am actually sad and I am not in my good shape, I usually dance. With that TikTok, you know that you want to make it perfect, di ba? So when you practice, you didn't know that you are actually sweating. So that's
Uh-uh.
one way of exercising. Eventually, you'll develop on how to dance gracefully in a TikTok setting. Apart from my work, I do TikTok and at the same time I do running. You know what? Like I'm 50, so we need to make ourselves busy with the exercise because the hormones are not that good enough na and we are
Mhm.
into premenopausal thing. So I need to be active in the form of exercise like dancing, running, and sometime lang mag-badminton just to make our body stretch lang with the day-to-day activity and sitting with the computer and all. So we need to stretch out.
Wow, you are really health conscious. How do you calm yourself with prioritizing yourself with health and wellness?
Lately lang, we have this annual checkup when you have your birthday. When I had my annual checkup last January, it turned out that I have a high cholesterol. The
Ah.
normal is 200, but mine is 255. And I, as a pharmacist, I don't want to drink any medications because I know it's good, but most of the pharmacists really do not take medicines for that matter unless medyo severe na, no? Because we actually know the mechanism of action and the side effect of which. I tried taking anti-cholesterol, but for 10 days lang, kay it gave me a lightheaded and at the same time nausea and vomiting. So I stopped and I opted to do the natural thing. It's more of exercise and at the same time adjust your lifestyle, the food that you eat. The one thing that I want to correct is my sleeping pattern. I
Right.
wanted to sleep at 10 o'clock, but my body clock will always fall on 11 and I always woke up at 4 a.m. I don't have any alarm, but I don't know. I think it goes with the age. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I mean that's one factor, but then of course there's really a deep reason for that. So I really want to make those moves. I would love to collaborate with you, probably in one TikTok entry.
With pleasure, Sir Earl. I will be looking for that date.
I think it would be an honor.
I'm excited and I would send you an entry right now and you would practice that.
But of course, I have to practice to make sure that I could
Yeah.
give a very good show. So if the collab happens, we'd rather give a good show. So again, looking forward to that. All right. Anyway, so we've talked a lot. So before we wrap up, what wakes you up early in the morning?
Of course, number one is for my two special loved ones, Ian and Sky, knowing that I am their father and mother at the same time, and make sure that I would carry them and I would make them proud with what I am doing in their life. And at the same time, I would make sure with God's blessing that I will make them a professional and a good individual someday. And at the same time, the work that I have right now, sometimes it's a rat race na early. You sleep, you wake up, you work. It's doing the same thing all over again. But what can we do? It's a motivation that our family is there, especially that I am now alone not alone because God is with me in making our family walk into the path that any other family have a difficult walking through. It's actually hard doing the mother and father task, but I'm okay with it. And I'm with the support coming from my family and coming from the village and my friends. I'm doing it easy as it is. And at the same time, doing it with pride, doing it with gratefulness, and doing it with looking forward nga mahuman ni tanan, something like that. So
Yes, yes. The road will still be long, but I'm sure there will be days that we'll have to hold on no matter how hard it takes. But know that at the Sol that you are not alone. You mentioned God is with you. He'll be there. And as a village, we'll be here for you. So be assured with that. So once again, thank you very much at the Sol for taking us time and wishing you the best in life ahead.
thank you so much, Earl, for the opportunity. And thank you, everyone, for sharing with us your time. I hope you learned something from our conversation. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, don't you dare look